You're listening to The Burning Truth. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dude and dudettes. I'm your host for this week only. For this week only, I am the only host for The Burning Truth, which is Matt Burns. And in case you're wondering, where is my co-host? Where is my broadcast partner in crime? Or, and all around my JB, John Ballore. Unfortunately, due to illness and unpleasantness, he is not able to be on this week's episode, and he has stated that he's very apologetic in regards that he's unable to make it. But let's all, instead of focusing on the negative side, instead let's think positive and let's all wish John Ballore a speedy recovery and hopes he gets well soon. Fingers crossed, he should be back next week. Now, you might have also noticed that this is potentially a pre-recorded episode. Yes, it is, ladies and gentlemen. Now, originally last week we stated that we were going to be doing an episode live. Originally, I was going to be potentially doing it with John Ballore. Unfortunately, due to schedulings, which I will be mentioning on this episode as well. That is the reason why we are unable. Well, my side of it is one of the reasons, and potentially currently due to the John Ballore being unwell, is also the reason why John Ballore can't be doing it this week. As for myself, I can't do it this Sunday due to being prior engaged in other commitments that were actually agreed upon before it was originally stated last week. And unfortunately, it's a schedule that it did actually slip my mind. I thought it was the following week, but it's not. But I will get onto that on where I am potentially for today, because this will be going out on Sunday at its usual scheduled program of 9 o'clock. Fingers crossed, hopefully. And let me just state this in regard to every episode for The Burning Truth. Yes, I am putting out a warning disclaimer that strong language will be used on some of the episodes and maybe unsuitable for younger listeners. And if you may find that offensive, we unfortunately we do apologise, but we thought we'd give you the heads up, because certain topics that we do discuss on The Burning Truth may get tempers flared and get us all ruffled up. 1 2 minute boxes can get carried away and everything in regards to this. But let me just state this for you: there is no strobe lighting effect. Disclaimer this week. I know he has to squeeze that in normally, but you know what? Forget it. I'll just do it. The following show may have strobe lighting effects, even though we are audio. But anyway, let me just state this. If you are offended by the language, we do apologise. And let me just state, if you are offended, do messages. And if we are doing it too much, make us aware of it, because we don't want to be doing it too much. But at the same time, some of the language that we use, the tones that we use, may be unsuitable for younger listeners or anybody who finds strong language offensive. But anyway, we digress. Let's get on to the point of why we are here, which is none other than wrestling. Now, I'm just going to cover a bit of British wrestling. More importantly, what I'm most likely going to be doing. Now, what I'm going to be discussing is that most likely, because I'm actually recording this on Saturday, on the previous day, on Saturday morning. Now, myself, I am actually today. I know. Correction. I'll reword this so in case if anybody is listening to the episode on the day on the right now on Sunday 9 o'clock, I'll word it as if it's that. Yesterday at Slam Wrestling, I wrestled for Slam Wrestling, and I was most likely in a hard-fought battle. In regards to what happened, I will most likely discuss that the following week, in next week's episode potentially. But if you're interested in finding out what happened and potentially what may have happened, or I wouldn't say may have happened, what may be the me outcome in regards to my physical well-being, you can find that out next week. As for results, we won't be spoiling any results because I believe the Slam shows are recorded and most likely will be going out for public viewing for on certain streaming websites. So for all intents and purposes, I won't be revealing results, but if you are interested in finding out results, please check out on their social media. Of course, the reason why this is a pre-recorded episode is due to myself being at FCW Wrestling doing commentary. Now, that is the reason why I'll most likely be where I will be at, and as I've already discussed, the reason for JB's absence. But anyway, we digress. Let's continue on. But hopefully the FCW show will be a knockout park and will be amazing. And of course, the following week is United Wrestling's night on Friday, which is at its usual location. For to find out more in regards to matches and everything, check out on their social media, of course, which they do advertise quite a bit. And as we always say, always check out wrestling shows on social media, because in some cases you do actually give away free tickets through special special competitions and everything, and you could end up being a lucky winner. But anyway, with that all being said, so let me just state this. I'll reiterate in quick format. Slam Wrestling happened on Saturday. I'm at FCW most likely now. And United Wrestling is happening next Friday. So, three pieces for British wrestling. That's always good to hear about British wrestling. In regards to AEW versus NXT, I'm not going to be jumping on this situation for much too long. I will state both shows were absolutely entertaining as hell and recommend checking them both out. In regards to what happened in the content and everything, absolutely amazing. Now, I will just point this out in regards to the rating war. NXT won this week. But take into account, a lot of people saying, they finally won. AEW is, flawed. It's going downhill. Now, this is myself. Now, take into account, JB is massively on NXT. I am impartial myself because I like both AEW and NXT. I will be watching both of them. So I'm not adding to either sides. I'm not going to be picking sides. But let me just state this. Chris Jericho stated it's a marathon, not a drag race, and everything. But Cody Rhodes probably had the best outlook on it. Is take it on the chin, sit back, reflect, and let's get better. Which is actually a good way of looking at things in regards to making sure you're keeping up on your product. But it's still a good way to look at things. But let me just state this. If anybody's watched NXT this week, no spoilers for it, because I will state, absolutely, what a hell of a show. Raw, NXT, SmackDown for this week, amazing shows for this week, especially with the current massive feuds that's been happening to build up Survivor Series and everything, and has been absolutely entertaining as hell. But let me just state this, for this week, NXT wins, but be aware that NXT may have won due to the current events. We'll have to wait and see in regards to if NXT can keep the winning streak after the Survivor Series feuds between the three brands subside. We'll have to wait and see what comes next in regards to that. Now, as you may have already known, yes, we have already done the NXT War Games predictions, but that will most likely come into play potentially a bit later on in regards to the WWE Survivor Series predictions, because we did have an additional one of the matches to have, one of our prediction matches that we didn't even know was going to be involved. Now, supposedly, but the interesting thing about it is that match has got an added stipulation, which is, I believe it was for the triple threat match at War Games, which is for the number one contendership for the NXT World Championship. Now, anyway, as I digress and continue on, I'm just going to state in regards to WWE news and right now, and pretty much just go straight off the bat. Now, the situation with the Jordan Miles / Super ACH t-shirt, situation and everything, is the fact that Super ACH has been released from his WWE contract, and it looks like he's now a free man, potentially from WWE. Now, a lot of people are sitting there saying, "Oh, he's finally free, he can go anywhere, everything," but that's not also the case. When that is supposedly happened, supposedly his equipment and gear and everything was all packed up in a cleaned out locker room and everything, and it was almost like WWE were possibly making an example of potentially of Jordan Miles or Super ACH. Now the question is after this situation has happened, I believe that WWE has handled the situation as best as they can. Jordan Miles has handled it how he wants to handle it. And in regards to the Burning Truth view on this, we are not picking sides. We are not getting involved. And let me just state, regardless of it, the only thing that has come out of it is a lot of people are stating Jordan Miles / Super ACH may find it a bit more difficult on the independent scene due to the current situations that has actually developed throughout, due to the pointing the fingers towards not just WWE as other companies as such, and it may not paint a very, very bright picture as such in regards to would they be willing to take him on. But in regards to if they do, we'll have to wait and see if that is the case. But in regards to the Jordan Miles / Super ACH t-shirt situation, the Burning Truth is effectively staying neutral on that situation, and we will not be bringing this up again as such. And unless there's some major additional breakthrough, we will not be most likely bringing it up again. So hopefully that should be a goodbye to that situation, and as such, and hopefully there's no further controversy in regards to it. Fingers crossed that all parties do both really well, and we everyone can come out much more better for what has happened in that situation. Now, WWE has debuted something brand, has done away with the old, has updated the look of the Intercontinental Championship. Now, I can honestly say there's a lot of people saying, yes, it looks amazing, it looks brand new. At the same time, it's also a lot of people saying, no, it's better non-tradition as such. I'll find out what JB personally thinks of the new Intercontinental Championship at most likely next week or at a later date. But at a later date when he's feeling a lot better. My views on it is it's hard to explain, because at the same time I'm going to be very impartial at the same time, but then I'm going to be putting on my own view of it. I'm impartial because in regards to the impartial part is we've always got to be looking forward to the next thing, the next new look, the next in wrestling, and it looks like WWE are basically trying to do that, especially with the fact that they've the WWE Championship and Universal Championship, massively different compared to where the originally started. Tag teams looks completely different. I believe at some point, I'm now expecting, the women's division had an upgraded look for their belts. The women's tag teams, the tag teams in general had an updated look. Now it looks like the Intercontinental Championship has had the same thing. Could the next thing be that the US Championship gets a upgraded look as sorts? Only time will tell. Now, that the idea being is they're trying to update the look of all the championship. Potentially, that could be the case, and I'm all up for the idea of progressing the look of it, but at the same time, they're not disrespecting the old look of it as such because it was an old tradition. But at the same time, there could be also another meaning in regards to why they are moving away from the old look, because I believe potentially a lot of people are saying, "Oh, why is that? Why is that? Why are they getting rid of the Intercontinental Championship?" Now, I know this might not. It could be a petty thing potentially, but the possible reason behind it could be because the old look of the Intercontinental Championship could have been brought back because I believe it was under when Cody Rhodes was doing it, when he was doing his undashing gimmick. I believe, possibly. I'm not 100% sure, but it might have been then. But he might have been the one who brought it back. But they might have updated look, so it's not like they might be cutting possible ties or links towards Cody Rhodes. Now, that could be it, but personally, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just they're just updating all the looks of the belts, and they are trying to strive forward onto bigger and brighter things. Now, in regards to the old look of the belts, between the two belts, personally, I'm happy with I like the new design. It's growing on me massively almost every time I'm looking at it. It looks amazing as such, but let me just state this: the old one I prefer because I've always associated it with some of the greats, the Ultimate Warriors, your Ricky Steamboats, as such, and your Mr. Perfects and everything. And it's to me personally, I prefer the old style look, but I am willing to push on forward with the new look. But if I had a choice between the two of them, I will be honest with the Intercontinental Championship. I prefer nostalgia over the new look brand any day as such, simply because of the historical look of the belt, and just take into account of the many champions that have held that championship and where it's come from. Now, moving on from that, we are going to have to get on to pretty much jumping onto the Survivor Series predictions. Now, let me just state this for the record. Yes, JB is not here for this week's episode. I already know that, and as such, I have already acquired JB's predictions in regards to it, and will be most likely pushing on forward with my predictions on top of it. But let me just state this for the record in regards to going forward with the predictions. I will be stating JB's predictions and then my own. I will most likely be putting on the reason for my predictions. Possibly next week we could have the reason why JB picked his picks, or I can try think why he's picked them in regards to. But personally, I think it'd be best if you want to know why JB's picked them. Probably I'll try to see if I can get any comment on the reason why he picked his picks, and I'll be stating my picks in regards, and stating why for it. But let's get down to business. And as such, from what I can see, there isn't any pre-show matches so far for Survivor Series, and I will be most likely discussing, so this is in random order, not going off anything. Especially, I will be just stating the matches. I'm not saying what I think will be going first or second, or third, fourth, and as such, but just matches it's in random order, so I'm not aiming for it as such. But anyway, first matchup that I'm going to be predicting right now is the Adam Cole versus the NXT TakeOver War Games Triple Threat winner, which I believe is between Damian Priest, Killian Dane, and Pete Dunne. Now, the winner of that match will be going up against Adam Cole the next night. As such, now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe if we are following the NXT TakeOver War Games predictions by JB's predictions, it's going to be Adam Cole versus Pete Dunne. If I'm following mine, it will be Adam Cole versus Killian Dane. Now, let me just state this. I have not got JB's prediction on this one. However, he did send a message stating that all championships will stay where they are. So I'm going to continue on most likely with that as such. But it will not be... If it is that it doesn't happen, I won't be holding against JB as such. But I am going to be putting a vote, putting a selection potential, because with him stating that all championships will stay where they are, I'm going to be putting his vote on Adam Cole, and I'm going to be doing the same as such as well. I feel as though Adam Cole is going to be dominant in this field for a little bit longer, simply because they need to have a good showing, and I feel as though more to the point later on, more to the point to the men, the 5-on-5 men's 5-issues match could potentially see why my pick more so, and possibly JB's maybe pick, why we are picking Adam Cole for this championship match win. But I feel as though regardless of it, it should be an interesting matchup either way. Next matchup is The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Universal Championship. Now, JB's going for The Fiend Bray Wyatt. I'm going for the same. And the simple being, the reason why for myself, is The Fiend's he's not had a successful... Well, he has recently acquired the championship, and he needs to get some successful defenses as such. And I feel as though he, reigniting the feud with Daniel Bryan, and that will do The Fiend Bray Wyatt some good to get some victories and some successful defenses as such. And it will most likely build up the WWE Universal Championship. And we know that Bray Wyatt versus, Daniel Bryan will be knocking it out the park as such. And it will be an absolute entertaining match. And also on top of that, Daniel Bryan will not be hurt too much if he isn't successful in this match, but it will be interesting to see what in this match go forward, and what will most likely be next for The Fiend Bray Wyatt after this match. Will this feud continue on, or will he be moving on to the next opponent, or the next challenger / victim, the Fiend? Now, moving on from that, we are going to a triple threat champion versus champion match, which is pitting AJ Styles, United States Champion, versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Intercontinental Champion, versus Roderick Strong, North American Champion. Now, JB has gone for Roderick Strong. You'll probably notice something as such in JB's. You'll probably see a pattern as we're going through, but you'll most likely know why. He has picked Roderick Strong. I am going with Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, a lot of people, you're probably thinking, huh? Why aren't you going for AJ Styles? He's clearly, on top of his game. I feel as though they're going to go with Shinsuke Nakamura simply because of the previous news I already mentioned, which is the fact that they've just upgraded the Intercontinental Championship, the look of it. And they're going to want to make it look strong and rebrand that championship belt and give it a bigger feel, by none other than having the Intercontinental Champion beat the US Champion and the North American Champion as well, and make it look dominant. That's the only way they'll probably get the Lucan Championship belt over, and hopefully this should actually push Shinsuke Nakamura much more further up, because I feel as though the Intercontinental Championship should be pushed a bit more as such, because I feel as though it's a bit weird. So I feel as though WWE haven't done much with Shinsuke Nakamura as such. It's almost like he's gone a little bit to the wayside as such. But this could be the thing that revitalizes Shinsuke Nakamura and put him up there in the high point of viewing as such. So that's that match done. Next up, I'm going to be covering the no holds barred match for the WWE Championship match, which will be Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman in his corner versus Rey Mysterio. Now, JB, as you know, John Blow has gone for Brock Lesnar, and this might shock you. I've actually gone for Rey Mysterio. Now, a lot of people thinking, huh? Really? That's impossible. That's not going to happen. I can see it happening, especially under the no holds barred rules, no holds barred match rules, especially if there's no rules, and they can interfere. As such, I feel as though Rey Mysterio will not be winning the match by himself. He will most likely have his son and most likely Cain Velasquez backing him up as such, and most likely cost Lesnar the match. Do I think Mysterio will be a long champion? I doubt it. I can see that championship going straight back to Lesnar very quickly. I just feel as though this will be most likely Mysterio. This is like a bit of a nostalgia thing for Mysterio. Thank you for his many years for wrestling for the company, and it's going to give a bit of a nostalgia feel at the same time. And as such, it will be very interesting to see how that goes ahead. Now, moving on to the champion versus champion triple threat match, for the women's championship belts, which is Raw Women's Champion versus SmackDown Women's Champion versus NXT Women's Champion, which is none other than Becky Lynch, who's Raw's, Bayley's SmackDown, and Shayna Baszler as NXT Women's Champion. This is going to be interesting. Now, I believe that JB has gone for Shayna Baszler, such because, he believes that much in Shayna Baszler. For myself, I'm going to go with Becky Lynch, especially with the fact that of last week's bold statement that I made is that the fact that I expected Becky Lynch to be keeping the Raw Women's Championship until WrestleMania, and that Ronda Rousey would be most likely winning the Women's Royal Rumble and be facing Becky Lynch at WrestleMania in a possible WrestleMania main event. Possible, but may not be the actual main event, but it will be an entertaining match as such. Now, that's the reason why I'm going with Becky Lynch, so it should be interesting because I feel as though if they're going to go with that game plan I've predicted, they're going to be wanting to push Becky Lynch like mad, but as such, it's going to be weird. I don't know who's going to be, it's going to be weird because whoever takes the pin, who eats the loss, is more than likely going to, it's going to depend on what they're doing next with the current champion. It's weird for me. I feel as though Shayna Baszler could, and JB is probably going to be ripping his hair out at me for stating this. I feel as though it's going to be Shayna Baszler who eats the loss instead of Bayley, because Bayley has, does need to have some bigger momentum and needs to be pushing up, where Shayna Baszler, it wouldn't hurt her too much to take the loss, and as such, and it could actually end up being the first, one of the major losses for that she takes in a while, and as such could lead to possibly being the kink in a NXT dominance of the NXT Women's Division, and it could end up resulting later on to Shayna, lead up to Shayna Baszler dropping the title, but her dropping the title is no bad thing. It could end up meaning that she could end up being transferred to bigger and brighter things. But anyway, we digress, and I'm going to be pushing on now, and I'm moving on to the 5-on-5 women's Survivor Series match, triple threat elimination match, which is Team Raw, which is Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Sarah Logan, versus Team SmackDown, which is Sasha Banks, Camilla, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross, versus Team NXT, which is Rhea Ripley, and I'm not 100% sure who she is picking for this match, as such, because that is still to be announced, and we will have to wait and see. Myself, JB's gone for NXT. You can guess why, most likely not by now, because you've probably seen the pattern. As such, myself, I feel as though Team Raw is going to be getting the win on this one. As such, especially with the fact that I mentioned previously that SmackDown's getting the win, just to even up a bit of the, possibly, potentially bolster up Raw a little bit, potentially, as such, and see what happens in regards to that going forward. But I don't, I'm not 100% sure if it will be as such. So I'm going to be sticking with Team Raw in regards to taking the win there, instead of following JB with the NXT. Now, moving on from that, we're going to be discussing the next triple threat tag team match, which is Champions versus Champions versus Champions, which is the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar, Raw Tag Team Champions, versus the New Day, which will be Big E and Kofi Kingston as SmackDown Tag Team Champions, versus the Undisputed, which will be Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, the NXT Champions. Now, for myself, I feel as though, as such, in regards to this, that NXT is going to be getting the win in this one, so I can see the Undisputed winning this, and I believe that JB, as you can probably may have guessed, has gone for NXT as well, which should be interesting, because so far it looks like JB is going for NXT, clean sweep. For myself, I feel as though it's going to be a bit of an in-between. It's going to be Raw and NXT. It could end up, I think it's going to end up with a potential draw. Unless, I think what most likely be a deciding factor could potentially be one of the other pre-show matches that could end up being the, deciding factor of getting the extra match potentially to one of them. Potentially. But so far for myself, I've got 2 Raws, 1 SmackDown and 1 NXT. But we'll continue on anyway. But for myself, I feel as though Undisputed are going to get the win, looking strong and dominant, and as such. And that's no knock against the New Day or the Viking Raiders. All teams aside, hard to pick on which team's going to be win on that one. It's anybody's game, as such. Now, moving on to I believe the last match, which is once again a 5-on-5 men's Survivor Series triple threat elimination match, which is Team Raw, which is Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Ricochet, versus Team SmackDown, which is none other than Roman Reigns, Mustafa Ali, Braun Strowman, King Corbin, and Shorty G, versus Team NXT, which hasn't been announced yet. Now, myself appointing, this is going to be interesting. I can see Tommaso Ciampa being possibly on the NXT team, but it's not been announced yet. Now, a lot of people are probably going to be thinking, it might be silly picking Team NXT, which JB has done. Picking Team NXT, especially we don't know who's going to be in the match. But here's the interesting thing. I think Team NXT is going to win this match. I'm going to agree with JB on this one, as such, and my reason behind it is that I can see a potential twist of the knife here. I can see a bit of a twist here. I can see it coming down to the final teams. I can see the final, most likely. I could see it being potentially one for Raw, one for SmackDown, and one for NXT. But personally, I think there's going to be a shock as such because I can see Seth Rollins possibly turning on Team Raw and siding with Team NXT and costing Team Raw the overall match to join and possibly transfer over to NXT, which in turn, possibly, lead, well, not do it straight away, but it will lead to him transferring over to NXT, and as such, which then in turn, what will happen is potentially when he transfers over, I can see Undisputed possibly coming over to Raw. Now, the reason why I did state that Adam Cole will keep the championship, because you think you should be losing the championship if you're transferring over, and that Undisputed should be losing their championship if they're coming over. Not the case. I can see them keeping the championships on them to make them look strong as such, and will either forfeit the championships or they'll most likely have them drop them or do the transfer at the following event potentially, and as such, and move on from there. But we'll have to wait and see in regards to what happens going down. But let me just state, for JP, he's going for a clean sweep for NXT. Myself on the other hand, I've gone for 1 SmackDown, 2 Raw, and 2 NXT. But I will say the extra point potentially for possibly having Seth Rollins turn over, which will most likely look like NXT's got the edge. He wants to be at NXT. He wants to be pushed. He wants to be going where he wants to go. Because remember what Triple H stated on when he popped up on Raw and spoke to Seth: "You are either with us or you're against us." History could end up repeating itself with the way when Triple H had a game plan, he had Seth Rollins in his pocket. Could that be the very case? Could history repeat itself? We will hopefully have to wait and see. And that is the predictions for Survivor Series, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, that's going to be all the news that I'm covering for this week. And with that, I'll be, for next week, we will most likely be covering the fallout of the NXT War Games and WWE Survivor Series results, and of course the prediction results as well, also included, and possibly other additional storylines, potentially, and most likely an update on regards to myself on how I did it at Slam. Possibly discuss, about the SCW show as such. But as we stated, any recorded shows that I'm in attendance of, there will be no spoilers as such, and I'll most likely be mentioning how my turnout happened at United Wrestling as well. And actually, you know what? Before I actually go off right now, I want to discuss next week. I want to discuss United Wrestling myself, especially one person in particular, which was Alexander. Now, last show, anybody who was in attendance saw me versus Barricade in a sort of street fight, no holds barred match, no rules match, where anything can goes. And fair point, Barricade got the win. He did have assistance, and I will not hold any grudge towards Barricade for him using that to his advantage. It's all within the rules. It's all fair game as such. What I am annoyed with is the fact that Alexander cost me the match. Fine. What he did after was uncalled for. He savagely beat me with a steel chair and tried to end me. He tried to potentially put me on the shelf, possibly tried to end my wrestling career. And what annoys me more than anything is the fact that I actually helped him acquire his. Yes, that is the history between me and Alex Zane. I actually helped him get into into wrestling, and he is not only just somebody who I knew, just helping him get into the business. I knew him before it. We grew up. We were we were friends for a long time, as such. I don't know what has happened since to change his view on me. But the fact is, if you have a grievance with me, why didn't you speak to me? Why didn't you actually come up to me and speak to me like a person, like a man, and tell me you got an issue with me? Not blindside me and then savagely hit me with a chair. Which is why I cut the which is why straight after my match I cut the promo stating we have got history. Damn right we do. But let me just state this. I have actually put in a message towards WWE management, and I have requested a match against Alexander. I haven't had any confirmation if that match is happening or not, but I'll have to wait and see in regards to it. But I will state this: if they do grant that match, I won't be holding back, Alexander. We may have actually, yes, we do have history with each other. I won't be holding back after the fact that you try to potentially injure me. You try to injure me. And I feel as though it's almost like you know my history. You know what, we have been on opposing sides in the wrestling ring before. Yes, we have. And, during the time when you were on the light, the light side as such, and I was on my dark side as such, and you were trying to convert me. Now the tables have turned. It's almost like you were trying to savagely hit me with that chair. What was your game? Was it to injure me, or was it to bring back something from my past about myself? Are you aiming to bring back the old me? All I will state is, be very, very careful doing that, Alexander, because if I do bring it back as such, just be warned, you asked for it. You asked for it. And as such, I hope if I do bring a part of that back, that it doesn't fully corrupt me as such and turn me over to the full dark side. But I feel as though it's going to produce something even more, something that it's not going to end well, and it's not going to be a happy result for you, Alexander. I'm going to be coming back full force, and I will be sending the United Wrestling crowd home happy. And let me just say this: as much as I will be savagely knocking you from pillar to post, I will still do it in confines of the rules. So as such, I will be giving you a savagely beating. I will still keep within the rules. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be an end for this week. I'm going to now run off the plugs for this week. I have removed some of them. I have added some new ones, and you'll probably notice them when I fit them in. Ladies and gentlemen, please check out UKWA, also known as UK Wrestling Alliance. As such, please check out the following photographers like Tony Knox, Jessica Servo Photography, K Swift Photography. They're all on social media. If you are after some top-notch quality photography, get on them. They are absolutely amazing. Highly credit them. And honestly, they knock it out the park every time. Absolutely amazing. If you are wanting to learn to wrestle, please check out Manchester Pro Wrestling Academy. Beginner classes are on Monday, £10 per class, 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. For location details, please check out their social media. I also recommend you check out JFX3D on social media, as they do custom-made championships and other custom-made items. And as such, I'd like you to check out charities like Mind, Changes for UK, Message for Mind, and of course Donna Louise. They are absolute great great charities. When I said change, I meant changes for health and well-being. So let me just state this: all great charities, and hopefully I should be doing. I always love giving them a massive shout out as such, and fingers crossed. Hopefully, down the road we could end up possibly doing more, getting some more involvement with them. But we'll have to wait and see. But for now, I'm just going to keep advertising them every week. So please give them a check out and hopefully read all the information on there, because the information that you do read up on there could prove useful and could actually help somebody. You never know. I also recommend you all check out the lighter side of wrestling. Of course, check out Botchamania, WrestleCrap, and of course OSW Review. You're welcome, Matthew. You're welcome, RD Reynolds, and of course you're welcome, the OSW Review guys. They do absolutely amazing work. Very entertaining. I also recommend you check out Pull and Pass Radio, which is hosted by none other than Magic Mark, for all things geeky, be it from Marvel to DC. Just give them a check out. Absolutely entertaining. Radio show as such. We also recommend you check out podcasts like, check out We the Independent. David Starr and everybody that are doing absolutely amazing with their project, and of course Sugar Dunkerton, who's also on there, especially with some of the interviews that they're doing on there. Absolutely amazing. We of course always recommend Train Pop Culture. Absolutely entertaining as hell as always. Check them out. Of course, check out Think Wrestling, which is none other than Tom Baker, especially the Talk Wrestling series, because I believe he's just recently done a interview with Mia Cortez, which is just recently updated. So please check that out. We also, of course, if you are after anybody who is great for parties, and I believe their slogan is where it's party time all the time, please check out Fabuloni on their website, which is www.fabuloni.co.uk. For custom made music, please check out Kayfabe Music UK. Yes, I will keep advertising these, especially for the fact that they actually, the intro and outro music for the Burning Truth was made by Kayfabe Music UK. And they do absolutely amazing work as such, and are always looking for new clientele, because I believe that they've got some original tracks which are £50 you can get straight away, or you can get a custom made music done by them for just £60. Yes, you will be added to the waiting list, and it is a fairly long waiting list, but it is damn well worth the wait. So let me just state this: please check them out if you are after any custom made music, especially if you're a wrestler, for entrance music for the start of shows. Please check them out. Of course, I also recommend you check out Turnbuckle TV. Yes, I know UKWA is on there, and this is the sole reason why I recommend you highly. It's not just because UKWA is on there. It's not just because of that. Check this out: 30 plus companies adding content all the time onto there. It's a streaming service for multiple companies. Now, when you purchase, the monthly subscription for Turnbuckle TV, you are getting access to 30 plus companies, and for how much? £3.99. £3.99. That's in pound. That is in gold. In Great British pounds, gold, sterling. So it's £3.99. Now, a lot of people are thinking, that's for 30 plus companies. Yeah, take that into account. A lot of people are thinking, that's a great price. Now, if somebody's even considering to argue at that point, here's a counter argument. If you don't want to do it bi-monthly, look at it this way: it's damn well £1 a week with a penny back. With a penny back. £1 a week, right? And for 1 week, get a penny back. How can you not jump on this deal straight away? It is absolutely amazing. It's something I would highly recommend, and it's always adding content on there. So please check out Turnbuckle TV. And of course, I always recommend you check out your local wrestling shows. Some shout outs to United Wrestling, Pro Wrestling for You, Slam Wrestling, Academy Pro Wrestling, FCW, Fusion Pro Wrestling, The Bags Wrestling. I believe there's also Falling Star. There's also Preston City Wrestling, and In and Out Wrestling, and many more as such. Now, a lot of people thinking, all them shout outs just done. How can I, find out which one's local and as such? Well, if none of them ones I've just mentioned already are in your area, you can still find out your own local wrestling show dead easy. And that's just using your mobile. By your mobile and loading up an app. And that app would be none other than Babyface Wrestling UK, where you can actually search. You can actually use Babyface Wrestling UK to search for your local promotions in your area, for how far you want to drive or how far you're willing to travel, and find out what shows are happening on there. And it's also where you can also follow your favorite wrestlers, favorite companies, see what see any big get announced, go onto there, see a feed of where your favorite wrestlers are going to be, your favorite companies are going to be, and what they're currently doing. And I believe they've also got some blogs on there as well. So massively check that out. And all that is being provided to the public for the low price of nothing. It is free. It's a free app, so you can check on your local wrestling at any time, whenever, for free. So, as always, there's always a case to check out your local wrestling. It's bigger and stronger than ever, especially with that app out. Of course, I'd recommend everybody check out the Burning Truth website, which is none other than www.theburningtruthuk.com. You know what's on there. We have mentioned in the past. As such, of course, we also recommend you check out social media, which will be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. But let me just state the Twitter name, which is got a bit of a different name, which is the name on Twitter is spelled WRESLING for THWALL. And let me just state on the website, the Burning Truth website, all the external links are on the links page. We cannot be held responsible for, as we have no control over external sources and external websites. And of course, we've also got some past episodes on Spotify. That is a wrap up for this week of The Burning Truth, and I would like to say thank you for checking out this week's episode, and hopefully we'll be bringing up some more. But as always, please stay well, stay safe, and check out your local wrestling, as always. But also, of course, as I've been stating recently, please stay well, stay awesome. It's not a week, don't just look after yourself physically, look after yourself mentally. And if you're not in a good place, it's okay to be not okay. It's okay to be not okay. But if you feel that you're in that position, I would recommend anyone who does not feel okay to reach out to somebody. Hopefully they will be able to help you in the situation as such, and help, because we are all here together to help each other. And of course, with everyone that does listen, I would like to say thank you for listening to this episode. Stay awesome. Stay your awesome selves as always. Be well, be safe, keep your mind safe, keep your body safe, and hopefully I will catch you next week. Until then, I will catch you later. Bye for now.